welcome to a broadcast produced by Friends of Terry Virgil. I'm Terry Virgil, your host and producer of this program. And today's episode is titled Small Town and Small City Doctors No More by June 27, 2016. If you can recall anything that talks about Obamacare, and this is a very flash news alert. News alert that I've been talking about for many times in this program and absolutely saying on June 20, let me read part of this. On June 26, 27, 2016, Obamacare will no longer pay small town doctors to give small towns any medical care. That's what Obamacare is really all about. Doctors in small towns will not get paid because Obama wants to have everyone in small towns to get medical care in big cities and metropolitan cities as part of the UN Agenda 21 to force people to move to mega cities and to end the idea of living in small towns, town type of communities. No more freedom and liberty. That's what it amounts to right there. And I'd be glad to share that with you. I've said it before that how bad Obamacare is and should be. It should be disbanded, and there is a few other things that are more about this. What it is small town doctors, small cities will. Well, excuse me. Sorry about that. Small town doctors in small town cities will not get paid according to the directive from Obamacare, because Obamacare says on June 27th that they make payments to and they make cuts in Obamacare. They have to cut paying small town doctors in small town cities. In other words, if you live about 400 miles from a mega city, such as, for example, Los Angeles, you have to travel that distance, and you need medical assistance and you got a medical problem or a medical emergency, you have to travel 400 miles in order to get it. Because here's why. Communities that are about 10,000 or less will end up losing their hospitals, they'll end up losing their doctors, medical personnel, and all that stuff. That's what Obamacare says it will do in order to cut costs. Anybody who lives in a town, let's say, 1,000 or less, and there is a small town doctor in there, that doctor's not going to get paid through Medicare or Obamacare. Because Obamacare says anybody that's on Obamacare cannot get medical services other than a doctor in a major metropolitan area. Yes, I made that exaggeration of 400 miles. That's not an exaggeration whatsoever. Like, for example, if you live in an area, let's say in central Kentucky, and Louisville is, let's say we'll go with 250 miles away as a round figure. But you used to have a medical facility within 10 miles. You can't go to that medical facility. You have to travel to Louisville and get your medical services, because Obamacare will not cover that doctor and will not pay that doctor to be your physician. For, because even though that doctor took care of you for, let's say, 30 years, guess what? That doctor will not be working anymore. Will not want to work there anymore because he or she will not get paid. So, needless to say, you have to travel. You have to travel all that way, and in order to maintain your medical services in Louisville, and you live in a small town in Kentucky, you have to move to Louisville in order to get in order to get any services whatsoever under Obamacare. In other words, just because they're going to fire the doctors, they're going to also force you to move to these mega cities. And I know Louisville's not really a mega city, but I just kind of using that as an example. I could use Chicago as a mega city. That's because I live near Chicago. I live about 150 miles from Chicago myself. And what they're going to say is, well, you have to move to the mega city so that we can give you proper medical care. If you recall, I spoke about this in a couple different areas. And I spoke about the UN Agenda 21 under health services. And in there it states that a person is to get medical services in, and I'm going to say it again, in a mega city or a city. No country doctors allowed, period. No country medicine allowed. End of story. End of sentence. Here's the thing that's really going to be a real kicker on this one. I happen to have some Amish relatives. They don't get television. They don't get phones. I happen to know where they're at. And yes, I do see them once in a while. But under Obamacare and UN Agenda 21, they too will be forced into these mega cities. Because they're saying that city doctors can give out better medical services, even though you'll be put on a waiting list to see a doctor, and those doctors that do not come from the country doctors, we call them country doctors, small towns, if they do not cannot get hired into a hospital or a clinic that's approved by the government, then they're out of work. In other words, including those who do not get these things or do not even, you have to go to a mega cities. Now here's the other flip side to the story too. I happen to know some of those from different Indian tribes, chiefs, and yes, they are a sovereign nation, such as the Cherokee. And I believe that they deserve to be called a sovereign nation. Under UN Agenda 21, they will no longer exist. They will be forced to move to megacities just as well. And the cutoff date for a lot of this is June 27th. That will be the last day any doctor that took any money under Obamacare will not get paid. Any doctor that takes Medicare will not get paid. Any hospital that took Medicare will not get paid, nor Obamacare will not get paid. That is in the law, Obamacare law. I've warned you about these things in the past, so I'm not saying that I told you so. Well, yes, I am saying I told you so. And if you did not listen, did not like what you heard, I'm going to say this much. Next time, look it up for yourselves and pay attention. I just give you some of the information about these things. So in other words, if you had a doctor that's been taking care of you for those 30 years, and that doctor lived next door, you played softball, you go to the same church, that doctor will be out of work, unemployed. So I'm going to say it this much to you liberals and Democrats out there that are voting for Hillary Clinton. Guess what? You will not have a doctor if you live out in the country or in a small town or rural community. Because Hillary Clinton is a clown. I mean clone. I said clown. Yes, clown is the right word. C-L-O-W-N, clown. And a clone, C-O-N-E, of Obama. And to tell you the truth, as a libertarian, I'd be opposed to Obamacare, period, anyways, personally. It's just like I'm opposed to any gun control. If you read my Facebook page, you would understand how much I oppose any compromise of whatsoever of gun control, period. I say let them have guns. Let them have their weapons as long as we can arm ourselves. And arm ourselves wisely. Okay, background text. I am appalled to that idea too, because that's taken away from a person's freedom and liberty. Anytime you take away from freedom and liberty, like Obamacare will do June 27, 2016, I would say I'd be opposed to it. And I'd be opposed to the fact that you can no longer get your medical services in, let's say, you live in, I live in Cambridge, Wisconsin, so I'll use that as an example. If there is a doctor here or medical staff here, you get injured, get a heart attack, you can be transported probably to a mega city, because that's where your treatment's going to be. And if you don't have insurance, you're going to be transported probably about 400 miles away. Interesting scenario. 400 miles away because you're having a heart attack, and that way Obamacare pays for your medical expenses. Makes a lot of common sense to pay for Flight for Life to travel 400 miles when you're dying. That's what Obamacare says. We're going to make this real simple. If you're having a heart attack, you should have been living 400 miles away in a mega city, where you would only have to travel, about maybe within 5 miles. That's their plan, people. You've been told this. I explained it to you very carefully and very clearly. And now those who voted for Hillary Clinton or want to say, and they live in a small town community, say, well, we can't